Hello everyone. This is the last example of the Unit 4 Lesson 4B notes. Sorry it wasn't included in that other video, and you also have that extra example in that last video, whether you chose to write it down or you actually just watched it, so you can see another one and how it was completed. But there's example 5, they want us to establish the identity, and we're going to start by working on the left side. Here I have sine of the quantity a minus b times sine of the quantity a plus b. So I'm going to plug in the formula for sine of the quantity a minus b. This is formula number 15 on your formula sheet, and you're going to want to put that in parentheses because you will have to distribute when you multiply these two equations together. So sine of a minus b, and you got to be very careful, guys, with your a's and your b's. Be mindful of your a's and your b's. So via formula 15, this is sine a cosine b minus cosine a sine b in parentheses. Then we have sine of a plus b, which again, using my formula sheet, it's formula 14, goes in parentheses because I'm going to have to distribute. I get sine a cosine b plus cosine a sine b. When you distribute, it's going to be a bit of a mess. So when I distribute this first term times this first term, again, you have to be mindful of your a's and b's. When I multiply these two together, sine A, they are the same item. So that's going to be sine squared. Cosine B, also the same item. So that's going to be cosine squared. Again, watch your a's and b's. So sine A, you probably want to start as far to the left as you can because this might be pretty long. Sine A times sine A is sine squared A. Cosine B times cosine B is cosine squared B. Now we're going to do this one times, I'm going to try to make it a little bit more obvious by moving this pink line. Now when I do sine A cosine B times cosine A sine B, notice sine A and sine B are not the same. So you will write it as such, sine A sine B. Same deal here, I have cosine B, cosine A, not the same. So you'll have to write it, it's going to be all one big line. It's also a positive times a positive, so I'm going to get a positive. I have, if you want to go in alphabetical order, it might be easier, to be honest. So alphabetical order would be cosine A, cosine B, cosine A, cosine B, and then sine A, sine B. All of these are being multiplied together. I just don't put the little dots because it's already long enough. But there's nothing that's alike, so I can't combine anything. Next, again, try to help with the little squiggly lines. I'm going to do this negative cosine A sine B times sine A cosine B. So first off, negative times a positive is a negative. I have a cosine A, cosine B, not the same. So you write it as such, cosine A, cosine B. And then I have a sine B, sine A. Again, not the same, so write it as such, sine A, sine B. I just went in alphabetical order. And then finally, the last one, I have the negative cosine A sine B times the positive cosine A sine B. Negative times the positive is a negative. Cosine A, those are the same. So I'll get cosine squared A. Sine B, again the same. So I get sine squared B. Finally finished distributing, at least one nice thing happens. If you notice, right here, I have a positive cosine A, cosine B, sine A, sine B, and then a negative of the same item. So those will cancel. Now I'm left with this. Sine squared A, cosine squared B, minus cosine squared A, sine squared B. And if you look at your answer, and this is why I like the ones that give you the answer, I need a sine squared A, I have it. I need a sine squared B, I have it. These guys I don't need. And you can't just subtract those. One, because they're attached to something else, and two, they're different. That's a B and that's an A. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep what I need for the answer. So I'm going to keep the sine squared A. And I'm going to change the cosine squared B to something else in hopes that it'll give me what I want at the end. So cosine squared B, I'm going to use the variation of formula 7. If you look at formula 7 off in the margin, I'm going to say that cosine squared B, again, mind your A's and B's, would be 1 minus sine squared B. Minus, this one I want to keep because it's part of the answer, so sine squared b. And if I change this to 1 minus sine squared b, I'm going to do the same logic here. It's just going to be an a instead. It's going to be 1 minus sine squared a. Now I'll distribute sine squared a times 1 is sine squared a. Sine squared a times a negative sine squared b is a negative sine squared a sine squared b. Here I'm distributing a negative sine squared b times 1, I get a negative sine squared b, and then a negative times a negative is a positive, sine squared b, sine squared a, I'm just going to write it in alphabetical order, so sine squared a, sine squared b. Here I have a negative sine squared a, sine squared b, and then a positive of the same, so they will cancel, and finally I am left with sine squared a minus sine squared b, which is exactly what they wanted me to get. And that is the last example for this set of notes.